Hi and welcome back to Finders Beepers History Seekers. This week, bit of a different video, but something that means so much to me and so much to my family, and it's something that I promised I'd do, and I'm here doing it now. I'll tell you a little bit more about the story in a bit of a video. This is George. George is my granddad's younger brother. But before we get talking about George, this is me. And this is how this story began. And I've been so lucky to have two wonderful male role models in my life. Obviously, my dad, who you know, who has been a fantastic father. And also, I've been lucky enough to have my granddad in my life. And of course, let's not leave out my mum, my wonderful mum. But I've been lucky enough to have a close family, a close relationship with both of my parents, my grandparents, and hopefully I'm passing that on to my children and having that feeling. Being brought up with family around, going on holidays, on trips and seeing different things. I was so happy as a child, and I genuinely think this was passed on from my granddad. He had always taken me on trips and had me through the day when my mum and dad were working. We went abroad. He gave me a passion for travel and learning and finding out new things. And if it wasn't for the joint efforts of my mum, my dad and my granddad, I don't think I'd be the same person I am today, with the same interests and get excited about the same sorts of things. But looking back at photos and listening to memories, that seems to have been passed down from his parents, and he had an extremely close bond with his family. And this is where George comes into the story. George, who is my granddad's younger brother, was adored by my granddad, and the relationship they had was like brothers should be. However, the brothers were split up due to the outbreak of war, and my granddad came back, minus an arm, but a hero. Inspired by his older brother, not only did he sign up for the RAF, he married his German bride and was stationed over in Singapore. Sending photos back to my granddad and his family of the amazing places he'd seen, but unfortunately, by the time that they reached them, he was already dead. On the day of the crash, George had been ordered to move some planes from one airbase to another. On the same day, it had been the Singapore Air Show, and whilst moving a Hornet plane from one base to the other, he decided to do some barrel rolls to show off to his new wife. George lost control of the plane and it crashed into the Upper East Coast Road in Singapore, killing himself and 3 small children. So after 73 years, I thought it was about time to go and find George. So this morning, when I set off from my hotel, I thought I'd come down to the waterside to do some research because I got the names of the places. I didn't really know where they were in Singapore. So I came to here, the big sports centre, and sat around the other side, only to find out the first place that I need to go is just the other side of this bridge. It's like I knew. It's like I'd got some internal homing tracker thing of where I needed to go. Now, I don't really know what they've done with the place that we're going to first, whether it's abandoned, whether it's somewhere that they've done up, or if it's even there anymore. So it's all a bit of an adventure for me as well. Now, another coincidence, I could have gone down over a crossing over there, but I thought I'll come over this bridge, and on this bridge there's a little thing here all about the Aerodrome. Kallang Aerodrome is where we're going, and it says here it only lasted for 18 years, and it was absolutely loved by everybody to do with aeroplanes. They absolutely loved the place. But it's supposed to be just over there behind that tree, and I don't know if it's there. And hey, oh, wait a minute. I think I can see the top of it there, look. Now I'm just going to read this, find out a bit more information about the actual place, because I've done the research of George and where he went and what he did, but I haven't done any research on the actual places themselves, so it'll be good to find out. Now this place was pretty famous, to be fair. Even, is it Amelia Earhart? I can never remember how you pronounce her name, but basically she proclaimed this place as the wonder in the East. It was a fresh, brand new aerodrome. It hadn't really been seen over this way in Asia before, and it was quite famous. Oh, it is, it's there. I can see it. I can see it down through the trees. Oh, I am so excited to think that he's been here. But I've started already. Now I knew I was going to get emotional. I knew it was going to happen the second I got here. And the reason for that is he's so similar to me. He apparently was an outgoing person. He liked to get out and about and see things and do things and see stuff that he probably wasn't supposed to. He got a bit of a reputation as a cheeky chappy who bent the rules sometimes. Does this sound familiar? But he was loved by my family, like really loved, and that's why I get emotional. So here it is. Here is the base where he picked up the plane on that fateful day and took it across the other side of Singapore, just over there. Now on the same day he took that over, there'd actually been the famous Singapore air show where they got all the newest planes and some old ones. They were doing loop-de-loops. They were enjoying themselves, and people were out in the thousands to watch it. And it still goes on today. In fact, I think it was only the other week I would have loved to have come when it was on, because that would have just been like strange, even more strange than this already is. But that's why he was picking it up. He was moving it from one airport to another. Now you can imagine it, Kallang Air Base, obviously it wasn't just this. It stretched right up there where the wasteland is. This building up here will have been part of it as well. And it even ran across to where the massive sports centre is across the road. It's absolutely huge, that place as well, and all the runways and everything were over there. This was just a control tower. Now George had only been in the country for 2 weeks. In fact, he got married 2 weeks earlier to his German wife, which back then I would have thought would have had quite a lot of opposition. He was quite a brave boy for marrying a German back then, but apparently she was loved by the family as well. Now my granddad always said that he'd had an argument with George just before he went. Now I always presumed it was over the German thing, but I don't know if it was. I don't know if I'm right on that. My mum seems to think I'm wrong, because they were so close. And in fact, we've got letters from George's wife to my granddad, which were lovely. So I can't see that that was right. However, something had happened, meaning that they'd had an argument, because my granddad always used to say to me, never sleep on an argument, always sort it out, because if you don't, you'll regret it. And that's exactly what happened with him. Now normally I'd be finding any way of getting in this place, but as if you can see over there, there's cameras everywhere. There's one down at the bottom as well that says police camera. Now they're really strict in Singapore, and if I was in the UK I'd be hopping over a fence and going having a look round, but I honestly don't think I can do it, and it's not worth spoiling the trip over either. But I'm not gonna lie, I desperately want to get in some of these buildings because it would be brilliant. Now it looks like the building over there might have been something like mess halls or something for the pilots to go and hang around in when they weren't flying their planes. And obviously that was the control room there. And this one over here, I'm not quite sure. I could probably find out, but it's often hard to find out details about these places. It's a shame, really, because it's the history of these places, isn't it? But anyway, he got in his plane, which was a Hornet, and I'll put you a picture in of what plane he was flying that day, and he set off, and he went from here and he was heading over to another airport at the other side, which I think is still in use as an airport, but that's where we're going to next. Right, we're just on our way to go to the other airbase, and I've been having a proper look at this. Now you can see that's how it looked in the 1930s, 1937, when the Brits, the Dutch and people from Singapore were in charge of this place. Same with that one as well, that's in 1937. But then a few years later, March the 1st, 1942, it's the Japanese, and if you look in the background, it's been bombed. It's a right state, absolute state. And then they were playing sports here. Don't know what year that was. It doesn't actually say what year that one was. But you can also see on here, this was the size of the military base, and now this is the sports centre, and that's where we were a minute ago. So that place has got some real history to it, and for me, I feel like my family's got history with that place as well now, because at the time it was in the newspapers, people were talking about it, what had happened that day, and it was a real piece of Singapore history for that period of time. Right, so I'm just waiting for a taxi. Well, I'm actually waiting to book a taxi. It's taking a bit longer than I expected. To travel the 10 miles across the city to the other airport. Now, it was a relatively easy flight for him as well. I'll show you on the map in a minute. But where he lived and where he crashed, because he crashed not far from his house, is not really in between the two airports, but he went round like that. But that's because of the direction, where he took off. He sort of went out to sea to come back, and basically he wanted to show off and show his new wife that he was flying this amazing little fast nippy plane, the Hornet. So I'm guessing he's a bit like me. He was a bit hyped up because the air show had been on. He will have seen all these other planes flying about, likes to be the centre of attention, don't know who else is a bit like that, and just wanted to do something, I don't know, to show off. And if you've got a new wife as well, it's one of those things, isn't it? You're in that excitable, the honeymoon period, you just come out here. I get it, I get why he did what he did. But this is what you warned me about. This is the sort of thing that I get up to, and then I get myself in trouble. And I sort of get why you get on at me for being daft and doing things I shouldn't, and pushing it a little bit too far, because sometimes it is a bit too far. So I'm currently at the Seletar military base and airport. Now, obviously, I won't be going in. I won't be attempting to go in, but I will try and find a way of showing you from a different angle. Now this was the destination where my Uncle George, or my great Uncle George, would have come to. Now I think in the 2 weeks that he'd been here, he probably had already made the journey a few times. They do let him settle in up to a point, but he'll have just got straight on with it. So he probably did come to this place. I don't know that for definite, but I'd like to think that he did, because I did want to see it. I did want to see the place that he was supposed to be coming to, and it is now a bigger airport. So it is, after the British left in the 70s, the British RAF, it was given back to the Singapore Army, and they had it just as a military base. And then later on, I think early 2000s, it was turned into a commercial airport and also aerospace. So they do a lot of aerospace stuff here, and hence why there's a lot of barbed wire everywhere. But we will try and at least be able to see a couple of planes or something. Now there are planes flying over all the time. I can't actually see that because the sun is so bright. But there's little planes flying over, and I would have thought that'd be how it would be back in the day when he was here. Now the aerospace centre is just behind me there, and it just makes me wonder what he would have thought of this place, how it had changed over the years, because this was apparently quite basic in comparison to the other one that we went to earlier on. Probably just a big field with a couple of hangars, and that was about it. But it just makes me wonder how he would have reacted. My granddad loved new inventions and change, and my granddad was older, so there's a possibility that he'd still be alive. He could still be alive today, seeing all these things. But I'll try and show you the plane. It's almost impossible, to be fair. I can see him, but this fence makes it awkward. You can just about see him through there. There is some planes over there. The thing is, it would be ideal to send the drone up here, but military base and drone just don't go together. I will look online and see if there's anything I can maybe show you, some aerial photos or something like that. If I do find anything, I'll put it in for you. But it's just strange. It's just strange that this was the destination he was supposed to get to and he never got here. Now, George, apparently, like I said, was a fun, outgoing kind of guy, and it's really hard not to be down and miserable while I'm here and thinking about what a life he could have had. But if he's anything like I am, he will have lived life to the full and done as much as he possibly could. Now, my mum never, well, I think my mum met him once when she was little, once or twice when she was really little, because my mum was only born 2 years before he died. But my mum's older sister knew him quite well, and strangely he left a letter for my mum and my granddad saying, "Don't let Margaret," who's my mum, "forget me." I think that's weird. Like, why would he say that? Like, it's like he almost knew. It's really strange. But my mum's held that with her. She's got the letter. It means a lot to her. So that's why I sort of feel down and stuff. But I know he wouldn't want me to be. I know he'd want me to feel happy about his life, and I hope he'd be proud of what I do and the places that I go and see. Because he'd been to Canada, he'd obviously come over here, he'd done all sorts. So I think he would. But anyway, on to where the crash happened. Right, I'm now in a place called Bedok, or Bedok. I think the taxi driver called it Bedok. Now, this was the area where George lived. I don't know anything about his house. These are loads of flats. So I'm guessing These have probably come later, although it's quite a big area, and I'm pretty sure that his wife was sat out in the garden. So if it was flats, she wouldn't have a garden. So it's somewhere around here. But as the taxi driver also told me, everything's changed around here. Things have changed so much, and he doesn't think the place where George crashed will still look anything like it. But we're going to find out. It's just down here. It's about a 5-minute walk. But it just, the excitement, like the excitement of getting a new house, the excitement of getting married, the thought that you were going to be spending a couple of years here, you'd start to look round, find out the new places nearby, like there's restaurants here. Now obviously it wouldn't have been the same then, but you would do that. I know you would. You'd come and look around the area, and that's why he was sort of doing his acrobatics in the sky with his Hornet plane, because like I said, they could go up to 400 mile an hour top speed. 400 miles an hour is crazy. So it's sad, because like these trees, some of these trees are really old. They definitely would have been here. And just to think that he might have walked down here each day, and just round the corner is where he died. It's so sad. So I just got thinking, why not Google it? Why not have a look what it looked like here before? It's just crazy, the difference. I'll put some photos in. It was just palm trees. I've got a photograph of George on his bike in his uniform, stood next to some palm trees. I know they will have been all over Singapore, but could have quite easily been round the corner from his house. It's just, I don't know, it's just weird. I know, thinking about it anyway, thinking about the stuff that happened and all the backstory to it is weird enough, but to be here and be in that same space that he was, sort of blows my mind a little bit. Right, so we're going towards the upper East Coast Road. We're just round the corner from there now. Obviously the kids are just coming out of school, so it's a bit manic, but I've got a horrible feeling it's just going to be totally different. I really hope it isn't, because I'd love to see exactly how it was back in the day. I just almost walked into him, but yeah, I don't know. I think that'll just make me feel even closer to him, seeing it exactly as it was. Right, we're at the upper East Coast Road. Now, it runs along here and up there as well. This isn't looking very authentic. Now, I have seen a photograph taken about 15 years ago, and it was the same. But like I was saying, the taxi driver was saying to me, things have changed so much over the last couple of years. He very much doubts it'll still be here. I'm going to be devastated if it's not, but we'll keep going and have a look. Right, I've just had a look on the little map that I've got of where it is, and it should be just round this corner. I'm really, really hoping it's the right place. Oh wow. It is the right place. Look at this. So, I'll put a photograph in a minute of the photo of when it happened. It was just here in the road. This is exactly, pretty much as it was in 1951. It was just here, or maybe just a little bit further up where he crashed. Let me get the photo up and show you. Right, the photo of the crash site, I'm going to be careful because I'm in the middle of the road, but the photo of the crash site was round about here, and you can see that grey building in the middle is on the photo as well. I'll try my best to match it up as much as I can. There was a yellow building as well, but that seems to have gone. I'm going to get myself run over here. But you can see it's exactly the same place, the same houses. So that means it was just down here. Now some people will say I'm morbid for coming to the crash site, but I feel I needed to. Like, what he must have been feeling as he was coming down. These houses look like they've not changed at all, to be fair. They're exactly the same, apart from a couple of bits of paint. But yeah, it was right here, right on this bit of road. So I've just been, this place is now a restaurant. I've just been in and spoken to the owner, and I was talking to him and he knew exactly what I was on about. He wasn't old enough, definitely. He was in his 40s or 50s. So he definitely wasn't old enough to actually remember it. But he was telling me the little girl that died when George died lived right here. And this road wasn't half as busy as it is now. It wasn't busy at all. So she was playing out in the street when it happened, and obviously she lost her life as well. I asked if any of her family still live in the area, and apparently they moved away not long after it happened. I would have liked to have paid my respects to her as well, but it's sad, it really is sad. So I've got 2 lots of flowers. I was going to take them out of the bag. They're so pretty, but they've got a little thing in the bottom with water in it that's going to help them last a little bit longer, so I'm going to leave them in. So there's one for the children and one for George. I've also got this book. I have put a little message in here. So, in loving memory, George Howson, aged 26, lost his life on this spot in 1951, August the 10th. We love you, George. We haven't forgotten you. You and Charles are back together. That's my granddad. Love from Matt, your great nephew, Margaret, your niece, and her husband, Chris. In our hearts, your memory is kept. We smile with the world, but never forget. And that's what it says on his headstone. And I'm presuming it's his wife that put that, because there was messages from wives and relatives on all the gravestones. So I'm guessing that's what it was. Now, also, I've put in memory of the 3 children who died. Pamela, age 3, Philip, age 2, Michael, age 5. My family remembers you, and then the date. Now, I'm trying to hold it together again. I don't want to get upset again, but you've got to remember these are 3 innocent children, and I think my family felt terrible for what had happened afterwards. And there's a bit in the newspaper that just breaks my heart. They were sat out. The mum, I think there was 2 next door neighbours just here. The mums had been sat out and they went inside for one reason or another. And obviously this road wasn't busy then, so they were playing out. And there's a photograph with the trike upturned, the seats overturned, and all sort of burnt and charred. It's horrible. It really is horrible. And as much as I remember, well, obviously I don't remember him, but in thinking about George and what happened, I think about those children as well. It's absolutely awful. Really, really is awful. Such a waste of life. So I'm going to put the flowers down. I just wanted to make sure that something was left to remember them, and then we'll head off. I've just sat in this bus stop for the last 20 minutes, just watching the world go by, just thinking that most people that drive down here, walk down here, will never know what happened that day. They'll not know what chaos there was, how many lives it affected, and it's quite sad, really. I feel like I want to do something for him and for the little girl that died. I feel like I don't know what I can do. I suppose making this video is making people remember what happened, but I don't know. Just the thought of his wife, because his wife saw him come down. She literally lived around the corner. The mother of the little girl saw what happened to her. Two families just changed forever. It's just beyond belief, really. And it was just like, I could quite easily, and I think my granddad did, be angry at him for his actions, but I know for a fact it's the sort of thing that I would do. It's the sort of thing that I would do 100%. Messing about, having a laugh, going too far. Didn't mean for it to happen. But people miss him. People have missed him their entire lives. I keep trying to leave and I'm struggling to... I just want to stay here. I don't know why. He's not here anymore, but I don't know, the link to this place is so strong. And it's not even really the reason I came here to come to this bit. It was to go and visit his grave, which is where I'm going next. But I don't know, there's just such a strong draw to here. I just can't get over it, really. But anyway, I'm gonna have to go. Something really strange has just happened. Now, most of you, and probably all of you, won't think anything of it. Listen, did you hear that? I don't know if you heard that. So I got up to walk away from where I've been sat for ages, telling myself that I needed to leave and I needed to go. And there was the biggest crack of thunder you've ever heard when I got up. It's nothing, but it started me off again. I'm so sorry. I knew for a fact it would start me off being here. I knew I would get upset. I feel like I have got just cause to be upset, but for someone that I've never met, it sort of seems weird, but he's been such a big part of my life to come here. So then, when you get up and there's a crack of thunder, it just seems like a message from the gods or something. It's a bit weird. I'm very tired and I'm very emotional. I'm sorry. Now I've just been looking at where his grave is, and it's actually almost in Malaysia. It's right up on the north coast of Singapore. So I'm gonna go and get some food, probably head back to the hotel, and either go out this afternoon or maybe tomorrow and then go into Malaysia as well while I'm there. So I'll see you when I get there. Right, it's day 2 of my trip. I did decide to do it the next day because I wanted to be fresh. Like I said, it's up in the north as well. Now this place, I've just been looking into it. I didn't really know the history of the place, but it's quite interesting. It was used by the Japanese when the Japanese occupied this place as a prisoner of war camp just behind here. It's still a military base, a military camp behind there now, but they used this section to bury the dead. Now that was then adopted by the Singapore government and the British to bury the dead, not only from here but from Vietnam as well. So there's Vietnam veterans in there, there's obviously from Singapore as well, and the surrounding areas. I think there might be some Malaysian graves in here as well. But George actually isn't buried in the war cemetery section. He's buried just away from that, up on the hill, and the reason for that is he died in 1951 after the war finished, and so he was put separately. He was actually buried in a totally different cemetery miles from here originally, and then he was dug up and moved to here. Now I've already had a couple of wobbles. I've already had the moments thinking about it, and as soon as I say it, I can feel that tingle in my nose. I know I'm going to go again. But it's emotional. It's really emotional. Not just him, not just like 1 or 2 maybe ex-British military, but every single one. If you could see the graves up there, there's loads of them, and it's just such a waste. War is terrible. It's such a waste of life. Now it looks like somebody else is here filming as well. He's got his camera, so we're going to make our way up through the military side of things and try and find George. I don't think it's going to be easy because I think this place is quite big as well. Now I've just come and found there's a little section here for the register of people that have been, and look, in the last couple of days, the 1st of May, it's the 3rd of May today, there's been somebody from England, Southend-on-Sea, someone from Australia. So it's not just me coming here, there's people from all over the world. New Zealand, I love you, Dad. Oh, it's so sad, so sad. Now there was a couple of other books in here, one from the First World War and this one about the graves from the Second World War. Now George isn't going to be in this one, but just looking through, like Murphy, Daniel Lawrence, Australian Infantry, Murphy, John, Army Troops, Royal Engineers, age 27, 28, 25, 25. It's just so sad. It's like people's children, people's dads, uncles, cousins. The thing is, we just don't learn. We don't learn. First World War lost millions and millions of people. Second World War the same. And now people are like, oh, we should go to war with Russia, and we don't need it. We don't. Why do people do it? Why do they put these people in power that cause these issues? And like I said, I know that George wasn't even in conflict, but he was in the army, and he was in the army because of what happened 6 years previously, or what had finished 6 years previously, that had caused all this. And they're just laying there, miles from home. Some are lucky enough to have people visiting. Some, their families might not even know where they are. It's just horrendous. I wish I could walk round and look at every single last one of these and pay my respect and show each and every one of them. Lance Corporal at 22 in 1942. Sapper, gunner. It just goes on and on. And I don't doubt when I get over the top of this hill there's going to be even more as well. The thing is as well, the thing that I find hard is you look at a load of headstones and that's what you see. You see a piece of stone. You don't see the life, everything to do with that person. Like, were they funny? Were they sporty? Were they boring? Like, everybody's different, obviously. And I don't know, the people around you, you know what sort of personality they've got. And all you see here is a piece of stone with a name, what infantry they were in, how old they were, when they died, and that's it. You don't see their stories, you don't see their families at home. Some that may desperately want to come out and see them but can't. And then slowly, as generation and generation passes on, they're forgotten. I don't know, I just can't get my head around it. This monument is lovely, to be fair. Looking across the city, it's very peaceful here compared to the hustle and bustle just down there. And it seems lovely until you walk up and you look at the walls, and the walls are just awful. Look at the names, name on name on name. Absolutely hundreds and hundreds of them. Hundreds. I know, I feel like I'm being, I don't know, a bit dramatic, but it makes me sad, but it makes me angry. It makes me angry. Just think what the world would be like with these people still here. What if one of them was, I don't know, invented cancer, the cure for cancer? One of them invented something that would revolutionise the world. What if, there's just so many options and there's hundreds of people. Just think where we could be in the world if it wasn't for war. And like I said, I feel like I'm being dramatic. I feel like I'm getting upset and angry over nothing, but this is not nothing, this is something. Now, studying the maps of this cemetery, looking at all the different bits, I know what plot and row and grave number he's in, and it should be just down there on the hill. Off, like I said, the main military bit is over this side. I think it's prime ministers and other people that are buried over here, and other servicemen. I was reading a minute ago, but do you know what? They look after this place so well, so well. I've watched one of them up here, just polishing the graves, cleaning the graves, and that's amazing. All the grass is cut and looked after, just like it should be. These men need honouring, and they're doing an amazing job here. How many graveyards in the UK are just overgrown? And I know there's probably no budget. These have probably got a budget from the government to do this, but it's just sad. It is really sad. Anyway, I'm going to make my way down and try and find him. Right, so I found the section where he's in. It's the MOD non-combat section. Apparently I've just been speaking to one of the guys up there. So helpful, so lovely, like really lovely. And it's somewhere along one of these, so I need to find him. Can't believe I'm here. I can't. Right, it's on this row. I'm pretty sure I know which one it is straight away. Is here, look. After all these years, I've got a coin in my bag that I've been asked to leave that belonged to my granddad. He got a load of old Victorian pennies, and he's supposed to leave certain coins, but I just think because this one was my granddad's, belong to my granddad just means a lot more. So I'm going to set the camera up over there because I just need some time just for me, I think. I actually had written out a couple of notes to leave, but I've been told I'm not allowed to do that. The coin's fine, but not the notes, because it blows round and it ends up somewhere totally different. I get that, that's fine. At the end of the day, I've passed on my message. I've told him that we love him, and that in response to his letter that he'd sent saying don't let my mum ever forget him. She hasn't. Nobody has. Nobody has at all. My granddad was proud of him. My granddad loved him, and so did the rest of my family. And it's such a shame at such a young age something like this has happened. I don't really know what else to say. Let me just collect my thoughts and have some time. I'll speak to you in a minute. Right, I've sat here for absolutely ages, just taking everything in, having some time to think, and thinking what to do next. But if I could leave you with two things, and it's probably not what you're going to think, it's me, it's probably not what you're going to expect. First of all, tell the people you love them. Don't hold back. Don't wait thinking, I'll tell them tomorrow or I'll tell them next time I see them. Tell them. And tell them all the time. Me and Freddie tell each other that we love each other. In fact, me, Katie and Amy and Freddie message each other just saying, love you, all the time. All the time. And I just feel like we don't say it enough. We say it in relationships, but we don't say it to our family enough. So, the people that you care about, whoever they may be, Tell them you love them, and make sure that they know. Because one day you might not be here to tell them, or they might not be either. So that's my first bit of advice. My second bit of advice is never leave an argument. Never leave an argument, even if it's overnight. Just at least do something, like hold their hand for a second, just give them a quick hug, a big smile. Doesn't have to be words. It doesn't have to be anything other than a gesture, just to show that one little argument's not going to make that much of a difference. And thirdly, and this is the controversial one, I think a lot of you think I'm going to say be careful, look after yourself, don't do stupid things. But I'm not. I'm going to say the exact opposite. Enjoy yourself. We don't know how long we're here for. We don't know if tomorrow could be our last day, and it could be something as mundane as a heart attack sat at your 9-to-5 job. You just don't know what's around the corner. So live your life, enjoy your life, see the world. If that's what excites you, find something that you enjoy and something that you love. Don't wrap yourself in cotton wool and be scared and think, I can't do this because I've got a job, I can't go there because I can't do this, and I can't. Just do it. Just do it, because when you're lying on your deathbed, are you going to think, well, Malcolm in accounts was really happy with me my entire working career? He doesn't care. You could be anyone. You could be any single person doing a job. Stop worrying about your job. Stop worrying about your house. Stop worrying about everything like that, because in 100 years' time, none of us will be here. In 150 years' time, nobody will remember us. So enjoy your life now with the people that you love, and tell them that you love them. Anyway, I love you, and I hope you've cried and enjoyed this as much as I have, because I have enjoyed it. It's just been hard. I'll see you all later. Bye bye. Honestly, this is weird. I've just literally stood up. The second I stand up, it starts to pour, and it's been beautiful hot sun the whole time. Believe what you want, like it's probably just a massive coincidence, but for me, I'm taking it as a sign that I was being watched today. Makes me feel good.